The bruise was small, just a faint purple crescent beneath the sleeve of her princess pajamas. But when 6-year-old Lily whispered, "She says you won't love me if I tell," Jason Winters felt the ground shift beneath his feet. As one of the country's most powerful millionaires, he was used to controlling every aspect of his world. But in that moment, staring into his daughter's terrified eyes, he realized something unthinkable. The woman he was about to marry might be hurting the one person he loved more than anything, and he never saw it coming. ChatGPT's Ghazal, the sun had barely dipped below the horizon, casting golden light through the tall windows of the Winters estate, when 6-year-old Lillian Winters sat on the edge of her canopy bed, her small fingers nervously twisting the hem of her pajama top. Her room was quiet and warm, filled with soft toys and fairy lights, but there was a tension in the air that didn't belong in a child's world. Jason Winters, her father and one of the wealthiest tech entrepreneurs on the East Coast, leaned down to kiss her goodnight. His expression was tired but loving, his suit jacket already off, sleeves rolled up. He had flown in just hours ago from a summit in San Francisco, barely making it in time for bedtime, something he promised her he wouldn't miss. "Good night, sweetheart," he murmured, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You were so brave today at your piano recital. I'm proud of you." Lillian didn't smile. Instead, she looked up at him with big, solemn blue eyes. "Daddy," she said softly, "can I tell you something?" He paused. "Of course, Lily. Anything." She glanced at the door, then whispered, "Please don't get mad." His heart skipped. "I won't." Her voice barely rose above a breath. "Valerie hurts me. When you're not here." Jason blinked. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "She pinches me, sometimes hard, and she says you won't love me if I tell. She says I ruin everything, and that she's gonna be my new mommy whether I like it or not." A cold wave crashed through Jason's chest. He knelt down, trying to stay calm for her sake. "Has she done that a lot?" Lillian's eyes welled with tears. She didn't answer with words. Instead, she pulled up her sleeve, slowly revealing a faint purplish bruise on the inside of her arm. Small, but unmistakable, Jason's breath caught. The pain, the rage, the disbelief. It all surged at once, but he held it down. This was not the moment for fury. This was the moment to listen. "Did anyone else see this?" he asked gently. Lillian shook her head. "She's nice when other people are around. She only gets mean when it's just me." Jason pulled her into a hug, wrapping his arms around her protectively. "You did the right thing telling me. I promise you, Lily, no one will hurt you again. I won't let them." Her tiny fingers clutched his shirt like a lifeline. For a moment, neither of them moved. Later that night, Jason sat alone in his office, staring blankly at the glowing screens on his desk. His mind was racing. Valerie Reeves, his beautiful, sophisticated, charming fiancée, had come into his life during a time of grief, helping him out of the darkness after his wife's death. She had always been warm with Lily in front of others, even affectionate. Could it really have all been a lie? But the bruise was real, and so was the fear in his daughter's voice. He didn't confront Valerie that night. Instead, he called a private investigator and then his lawyer. Quietly, carefully. He would find out the truth. And this time, no amount of beauty, charm, or manipulation would stop him from protecting his daughter. The following morning, the air in the mansion felt colder, heavier, as if the house itself sensed a shift. Jason didn't sleep much. He spent most of the night watching the hallway security monitors from his office, replaying old footage, looking for signs he might have missed. Valerie had been living with them for almost a year now. How long had this been happening? He kept his expression carefully neutral at breakfast. Valerie entered the dining room with her usual effortless elegance, her silky robe cinched at the waist, makeup lightly done, a golden smile perfectly placed. "Good morning, love," she said, kissing Jason on the cheek. "I let Lily sleep in. She looked tired." Jason didn't respond right away. He studied her, not with affection this time, but calculation. She didn't notice, or pretended not to. "That's kind of you," he said quietly, then turned back to his coffee. He had already called their pediatrician and scheduled a visit that afternoon, under the pretense of a routine checkup. But that wasn't all. He had made another call, one that felt much harder to make, to an agency specializing in private caregivers. And now at 11 a.m. sharp, the doorbell rang. Jason opened the door himself. Standing there was a young woman in her 20s, dressed simply but neatly, with warm hazel eyes and chestnut brown hair pulled into a loose ponytail. "Hi, I'm Emma Carter," she said with a gentle smile. "From Safe Start Care." He stepped aside and offered a firm handshake. "Jason Winters, thank you for coming on such short notice. I understand you're looking for someone experienced with children who've been through emotional trauma?" she asked carefully. "Yes," he replied. "Though, I didn't tell the agency the full story. I need someone observant, and someone Lily can trust." She nodded, eyes already scanning the hallway, taking in the house. "I'm a fast learner." He led her upstairs to meet Lily. His daughter was sitting on her window seat, arms wrapped around her favorite stuffed bunny, eyes distant. She looked up when he knocked lightly on the door. "Lily, this is Emma. She's going to help out around the house and maybe play with you a bit. Just until we see how things go." Lily eyed Emma cautiously. Emma didn't rush forward or try to hug her. Instead, she crouched down to Lily's eye level and said, "That's a very brave bunny. What's her name?" Lily blinked. "Bunny," Emma smiled. "I like that. Straight to the point." There was a pause, then a tiny, almost imperceptible grin flickered across Lily's lips. Jason exhaled silently. It was the first smile he'd seen in days. By afternoon, Emma was helping Lily draw in the sunroom. Valerie passed through on her way to the spa and paused, eyeing the new face. "Oh, who's this?" she asked, saccharine sweet. Jason stepped in smoothly. "This is Emma. I hired her to help with Lily while I'm away for business this week." Valerie's smile thinned. "I thought I was taking care of her." "You've got a wedding to plan," he replied calmly. "This just makes things easier for everyone." Valerie's eyes flashed just for a second, but she nodded and turned away. Emma caught that flash. So did Jason. That night, as Valerie left for a late dinner with her sister, Jason joined Emma in the kitchen. "She doesn't like me," Emma said plainly, wiping Lily's paintbrushes. "No," Jason replied. "She doesn't like threats." Emma looked up. "You believe your daughter, don't you?" "I believe her, and I'm going to prove it." Emma set the brushes down. "Then we'd better work together." In the quiet upstairs, Lily lay in bed, her bunny held tight, listening to the wind against the windows. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone. She had whispered the truth, and someone had finally listened. 3 days passed, and Emma's presence began to settle into the house like a quiet breeze, gentle but unmistakable. Lily had started talking more, laughing even, especially during their afternoon games in the garden. But she still flinched sometimes when a door slammed or if someone raised their voice, and Jason noticed every time. Valerie, on the other hand, grew more watchful. Her sweet tone around Lily remained intact, but her smiles had sharp edges now. She had started questioning Emma's tasks, double-checking her schedules, and once even accused her of rearranging the kitchen without permission. Jason said nothing, but the look he gave Valerie when she snapped at Emma said everything. That morning, Emma found something strange. She had been organizing Lily's art supplies when she noticed a small bottle tucked behind the books on a high shelf, hidden just enough not to be found by a child, but perhaps too carelessly by someone not expecting the room to be regularly checked. It had no label, just a faint chemical smell and a thick, cloudy liquid inside. She didn't touch it further. Instead, she took a photo of it with her phone and showed it to Jason later that night. "Where did you find this?" he asked, eyes narrowing. "In Lily's playroom, behind her bookshelf." Jason took the photo and sent it to a toxicologist friend from college. The response came the next day. Suspected low-dose chemical compound, commonly used in slow-acting poisons. Not lethal in small amounts, but over time, it would weaken the immune system, disrupt heart rhythm, and cause chronic fatigue. Jason sat alone in his office with that information, the weight of it pressing down on his chest. It explained everything: his recent exhaustion, the constant dizziness, the unexplained weight loss. He thought it was stress, overwork, grief still catching up. It wasn't. Someone was slowly poisoning him. That same evening, Emma overheard a hushed phone conversation in the hallway as she walked Lily to bed. Valerie's voice was low and sharp through the cracked door of her private lounge. "I told you, I'm doing everything exactly how we planned. He's already showing symptoms. A few more weeks and the doctors will be talking early onset something. No one will suspect me. Not when I'm the grieving fiancé and the girl's legal guardian. Emma's blood went cold. She didn't wait to hear more. She led Lily quietly to bed and then returned to Jason's office. She's not just hurting Lily, Emma said. She's trying to kill you. Jason looked at her, calm but deadly focused. I need evidence. Real, solid proof. You have her voice. I heard enough to confirm motive and method. But if we're going to stop her, we need to catch her doing it. Jason nodded slowly. Then it's time we give her the opportunity. The next day, he pretended to faint in the study. Valerie rushed to his side with tears and panic. Too much of it, Emma thought, and insisted on preparing all his meals herself for the next few days. Jason allowed it. Meanwhile, Emma installed a hidden camera in the kitchen, disguised in a decorative flower vase near the spice rack. Jason's meals were closely monitored, and 3 nights later, the camera recorded everything. Valerie opening the pantry, unscrewing a small bottle identical to the one Emma had found, and carefully mixing drops into a pot of soup. She smiled as she stirred it. Jason didn't eat that meal. He handed the footage over to a private forensic analyst and then called a detective he trusted. A man who owed him a favor from long ago. They had the video. They had the lab report. They had motive, method, and the timeline. The trap had been set, and now it was just a matter of when to spring it. Lily didn't know all the details yet, but when Jason tucked her in that night, she looked up at him with hopeful eyes. Did you believe me, Daddy? He leaned in, kissed her forehead, and said softly, I did, baby girl. And I'm going to make sure no one ever hurts you again. The day the trap was set in motion, everything in the Winters estate looked normal on the surface, exactly as Jason wanted it. Valerie walked through the house in her usual designer heels, sipping coffee from her monogram mug, occasionally checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. She greeted staff politely, kissed Jason on the cheek, and smiled at Lily with sugar-sweet concern that made Emma's skin crawl. But behind the scenes, the walls were watching her. Jason had installed 2 more hidden cameras the night before, one in the main hallway leading to the kitchen and another above the pantry door. Everything Valerie did was now recorded. Every time she reached for the spice rack, every time she poured herself a drink. Emma double-checked the memory cards personally. There would be no missing pieces. That morning, Jason pretended to oversleep and skip breakfast. Valerie noticed but didn't press, already used to his low energy. At lunch, she insisted on bringing him food in bed, grilled chicken with a fresh green salad and a cup of his favorite herbal tea. What she didn't know was that Jason had already received a duplicate plate made by Emma and the house chef. Hers was sent straight to a lab. The lab results arrived within 2 hours. Trace amounts of a neurotoxin, not enough to kill, but enough to degrade heart health and cause cognitive impairment over time. Jason didn't flinch. He called the detective he had been working with and gave the green light. At 4:12 p.m., Jason staged a scene in the study. He sat slouched in his leather armchair, sweat dampening his collar, as Emma calmly entered with a medical bag. She took his blood pressure and faked concern just loud enough to be heard in the hallway. I'm calling an ambulance, she said firmly. His pulse is irregular again. Valerie, who had just stepped out of the wine cellar, rushed in, eyes wide. What happened? Jason gave a weak smile. Just dizzy. It's probably nothing. No, Emma said. You need a hospital. I've already called. Valerie's face faltered, just slightly, then turned sharply to Emma. That's not your call to make. Jason cut in softly. It's mine, and I trust her. Valerie didn't argue further, but Emma didn't miss the tightening of her jaw as she helped gather Jason's things. Outside, an unmarked police vehicle waited behind the ambulance. As Jason was helped into the back, Valerie tried to climb in with him, but the paramedic blocked her gently. Just him for now, ma'am. Back inside, Emma escorted Lily upstairs under the pretense of getting her ready for dinner. But once they were alone, she knelt in front of the girl. Lily, she said softly, I want you to stay in your room, okay? No matter what you hear, I'll come get you as soon as it's safe. Lily blinked. Is Valerie going away? Emma nodded. Very far away. Downstairs, detectives and 2 plainclothes officers entered through the side door. They carried a search warrant and a copy of the lab results. Valerie was in the living room, sipping wine and scrolling through wedding inspiration on her tablet. When they announced themselves, she laughed. You must be joking. What is this? Some misunderstanding? We have video evidence of you tampering with food, one of the officers said calmly. and a toxicology report confirming the substance used. Her face didn't change. My fiancé has been sick for weeks. I've been helping care for him. You've also been poisoning him, the officer replied. Step away from the table, Ms. Reeves. Valerie stood, her calm demeanor slipping into a cold snarl. This is ridiculous. Jason would never believe you. He already does, Jason said from the doorway. He had returned with the lead detective, just in time to hear her last words. His face was pale, but his eyes were clear, strong, betrayal written deep in the creases around his mouth. Valerie turned to him in disbelief. You set me up? I protected my daughter, he said. You tried to take both our lives. I'm done pretending. As she was handcuffed, Valerie's mask fell completely. I gave up everything for this, she spat. I earned that ring. I earned this house. You earned your sentence, Jason said quietly. The officers let her out as the staff watched silently from the hallway. Not one of them stepped forward. Not one of them defended her. Upstairs, Lily peeked out of her doorway and saw the flashing lights beyond the window. Emma came to her, wrapping a protective arm around her small shoulders. It's over, she said softly. You're safe now. Lily didn't speak. She simply leaned into Emma and whispered, I knew you'd believe me. And in that moment, the house felt warm again. Not because evil had been removed, but because the truth had finally been heard. The morning after Valerie's arrest, the mansion was unusually quiet. Not tense, just still. As if the entire house had finally exhaled after holding its breath for too long. For the first time in weeks, Jason slept through the night without waking in a cold sweat. And when he opened his eyes, there was no bitter aftertaste in his mouth, no pulsing headache behind his eyes. The poison was leaving his system, slowly but surely. Downstairs, Lily sat at the breakfast table with Emma, coloring quietly while eating pancakes. She didn't ask about Valerie. She didn't need to. The silence in the hallways told her everything. Jason came into the room still in pajamas, looking exhausted but alert. He paused in the doorway, watching his daughter, alive, safe, smiling. He'd nearly lost everything without ever realizing how close the edge was. Good morning, he said softly. Lily looked up and smiled. You look less sleepy today. I feel less sleepy. Emma looked at him with gentle approval. Your color's better. You should still take it easy, though. Jason nodded, then crossed to Lily and kissed the top of her head. You did something very brave, kiddo. Lily's voice was small. I was scared. That's what makes it brave, he said. You told the truth even when it was hard. I'm proud of you. She looked up at him, unsure. You don't love her anymore? Jason hesitated, choosing his words carefully. I thought I did. But real love doesn't hurt the people you care about. And she hurt you. That's all I needed to know. Lily nodded slowly, absorbing it in her quiet, thoughtful way. Later that day, Jason met with his attorney and law enforcement in his office. Charges had officially been filed. Attempted murder, child endangerment, fraud. Valerie was being held without bail due to the premeditated nature of the crime. She would likely face years in prison. But legal justice wasn't enough for Jason. Not when trust had been shattered so deeply. He instructed his legal team to review every contract, every joint asset, every document Valerie had ever touched. He wanted her name stripped from everything she had tried to claim. That evening, Jason and Emma walked the gardens together while Lily played in the grass with Cosmo, the aging golden retriever. I don't know how I missed it, Jason admitted. The bruises, the tension, the subtle signs. I let someone near my daughter who... Emma gently interrupted. You were grieving. People like Valerie know exactly how to step into that space and fill it with the version of themselves they want you to see. Jason sighed. That doesn't excuse me. I should have protected her sooner. You did, Emma said. You listened to her. You believed her. And when it counted, you acted. They stood in silence for a moment, watching Lily chase butterflies across the lawn. She adores you, Jason said quietly. More than I think she's ever adored anyone. You make her feel safe. I care about her deeply, Emma replied, and I care about you too. He turned to look at her then, really look at her. There was something unspoken hanging between them. Respect, trust, something slowly building beyond gratitude. He didn't say anything more that night. He didn't have to. Back in the house, Jason gathered the staff and explained everything. There were no dramatic speeches, no blame, just facts and gratitude. Emma saved both of us, he told them. She didn't just come here to take care of Lily. She uncovered the truth. She protected this family. The staff clapped quietly, respectfully, and a few even approached Emma afterward to thank her personally. She'd gone from a temporary hire to something else entirely. By bedtime, Lily was tucked into her bed with her bunny and a new storybook. Jason sat beside her while Emma leaned in the doorway. "Are we going to be okay now?" Lily asked sleepily. Jason took her hand. "We're going to be better than okay. We're going to be happy." Lily smiled and closed her eyes. Outside her room, Jason and Emma shared a quiet look. The storm had passed, but something new was just beginning. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in the Winters estate shifted from one of quiet recovery to something almost peaceful. For the first time in months, the staff went about their work without tension. The mansion, so recently steeped in secrets and fear, began to feel like a home again. The air smelled of fresh linens and warm cinnamon from the bakery delivery Emma had suggested. Lily laughed more now. Her giggles rang through the hallways like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Jason dedicated his mornings to his daughter. He stepped back from work, canceled meetings, and let his assistant handle the business world. Right now, nothing mattered more than healing. He took Lily to the conservatory to look at the butterflies, played board games with her after lunch, and told her bedtime stories he used to read with her mother. Emma, meanwhile, began organizing the house in subtle but meaningful ways. She worked with the housekeepers to reorganize Lily's room, adding calming lights and cheerful colors. She created a morning routine with Lily that included drawing, breakfast, and talking about how she was feeling that day. The changes were small, but Jason noticed. Lily seemed lighter, more secure, less afraid of being alone. One afternoon, while Lily was at her art therapy session, Jason invited Emma to the back patio for coffee. The air was crisp and bright, with birdsong echoing from the surrounding trees. "You've done more for this house in 2 weeks than anyone else has in years," Jason said, handing her a mug. Emma smiled, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "I didn't do it alone. Lily is strong. She just needed someone to see her." Jason looked at her carefully. "It's not just Lily you've helped." Emma met his gaze and said nothing, but something in her eyes softened. "I never imagined things would unfold like this," Jason continued. "When I hired you, I was desperate. I just needed someone to watch her while I figured out what was wrong. I didn't expect this." Emma glanced down. "Neither did I." A silence settled between them, not awkward, but deep, like two people standing at the edge of something they hadn't named yet. Then Jason said quietly, "Would you ever consider staying?" Emma blinked. "You mean longer than the original contract?" "I mean indefinitely. Not as a nanny, not just as staff." He hesitated. "I don't know what we're becoming, Emma, but I know Lily lights up when you're near. And I know I do too." Emma looked away for a moment, processing. "I've always been careful not to get too close to the families I work for," she admitted. "But with Lily, I never felt like I was just working. I felt like I was protecting my own." Jason nodded. "Because you were." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Jason, Emma, and Lily sat in the living room playing a puzzle game. Lily had placed the last piece in and squealed in delight. "I did it! We finished the whole picture!" Jason pulled her into his lap, laughing. "You're amazing." Emma smiled at them from across the coffee table, heart warm. "I love this picture," Lily said, resting her head on her father's chest. "What's your favorite part?" Jason asked. She looked up at both of them and said very matter-of-factly that we're all together. Neither of them responded right away, but the quiet that followed was full, not empty. In that moment, surrounded by puzzle pieces, soft pillows, and the fading glow of dusk, it became clear the worst was behind them. And maybe, just maybe, something beautiful was taking root in its place. The following week brought a sense of calm Jason had almost forgotten could exist. With Valerie awaiting trial and a restraining order firmly in place, the media buzz that had briefly sparked around the scandal quickly faded, thanks in part to Jason's legal team and an ironclad non-disclosure clause in Valerie's former staff agreement. Jason wanted the focus to remain where it belonged, on Lily, on healing, on the future. But healing didn't happen overnight. One rainy Thursday afternoon, Lily had a nightmare. Jason and Emma rushed to her room at the sound of her cry. She was tangled in her sheets, thrashing and gasping, eyes wide with fear. "She was in my room again," Lily sobbed. "She told me you'd leave me, that nobody believes little girls." Jason sat on the bed, gathering her into his arms, his heart breaking all over again. "She's not here, baby. She's gone. And I believe you. I'll always believe you." Emma knelt beside the bed and gently stroked Lily's back. "You're safe now. Your feelings are real and they're okay. You can talk about them whenever you want." Lily nodded, hiccuping through her tears. She eventually drifted back to sleep between them, curled under Jason's arm and holding Emma's hand. Afterward, Jason and Emma sat in the hallway outside her room, the soft hum of the rain tapping against the windows. Jason rested his head against the wall, shoulders tense. "I should have seen it sooner," he said again. "She was scared for so long." Emma's voice was steady. "But you saw it. You listened. That's what changed everything." He looked at her. "How do I help her move past this?" Emma thought for a moment. "She needs routine, safety, repetition. She needs to see that she's heard every time, that she won't be punished for speaking the truth. And she needs time." Jason ran a hand through his hair. "And what do you need?" Emma hesitated. "I need to know this isn't temporary, that I'm not just someone passing through." Jason turned to her slowly, eyes searching hers. "You're not passing through. You're part of this family now, Emma, if you want to be." For a moment she said nothing. Then she smiled, softly, deeply, and nodded. The next few days felt different after that. Jason took Emma and Lily to a local wildlife sanctuary on Saturday morning. It was the first time they'd left the estate together for something that wasn't business or therapy. Lily rode on Jason's shoulders and took pictures of owls and deer with Emma's phone, laughing freely. At lunch, while Lily played in the sandbox near the cafe, Jason looked across the table at Emma. "Do you think it's too soon to feel this hopeful?" "I don't think it's ever too soon for hope," she replied. "Not after everything you've been through." That night, Lily fell asleep with a new stuffed owl she'd named Justice. Jason and Emma shared a quiet moment in the hallway again, this time without tension. He reached for her hand and she didn't pull away. In the distance, thunder rolled gently. Rain began again, a soft cleansing rhythm against the glass. Inside, the winter's home no longer echoed with fear. It breathed in warmth. It whispered peace. And for the first time in a long time, the light inside wasn't just returning, it was growing. Spring came early that year, bringing soft breezes and golden light that poured through the tall windows of the winter's estate. The gardens bloomed brighter than they had in seasons past, as if the earth itself had decided it was safe to grow again. Inside the house, laughter had become a regular sound, Lily's especially, echoing through the halls like music. It had been 3 months since Valerie's arrest. The court case was set to begin in 2 weeks, but Jason wouldn't be attending. His lawyers would handle everything. He had no intention of sitting in a courtroom listening to a woman who once lived in his home speak lies with the same lips that had kissed his daughter goodnight. He had already heard her true voice, the one behind closed doors, and that was enough. What mattered now was what came next. That morning, Jason and Emma stood on the back patio, watching Lily chase Cosmo, their old golden retriever, through the grass. She was barefoot, her dress flying around her legs, sunlight catching in her hair. "She doesn't flinch anymore when someone raises their voice," Emma said quietly. "She sings to herself now," Jason added. "I used to hear her humming in her room. She stopped for a while, but she started again last week." "She trusts you." "She trusts us," Jason corrected, turning to Emma. "You changed everything." Emma smiled, though her eyes shimmered with emotion. "You both changed me too." Jason stepped closer to her. "I've been thinking about something." "That sounds dangerous." "I'm serious." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Emma's eyes widened slightly, but he held up a hand. "No, not that. Not yet. This isn't a proposal. It's something else." He opened the box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a tiny key charm. "This is the key to the sunroom," he said. "I had the lock changed. It's Lily's favorite room and yours. I figured it should feel like yours too." Emma stared at him, then at the necklace. "You didn't have to. I wanted to, because you've been a key for us, Emma, to healing, to truth, to peace." Emma blinked away tears as he fastened the necklace around her neck. It shimmered in the light. Just then, Lily ran up the steps, cheeks pink and eyes bright. Emma, Daddy! You have to see what Cosmo just did. He rolled down the hill like a ball. Jason laughed and scooped her up in one arm while Emma reached for her hand. In that moment, the three of them stood together on the patio, sunlight wrapping around them, laughter in the air, and no shadows behind them. They went inside hand in hand, past the portrait of Lily's late mother, who seemed to watch them with calm approval. The home was no longer filled with silence, fear, or secrets. It was filled with love. Later that evening, Jason read Lily a story while Emma curled up on the couch beside them. As the final words of the story fell into the quiet room, Lily yawned and looked up at them. Can we always stay like this? She asked sleepily. Jason kissed her forehead. Yes, forever if we can help it. Emma tucked the blanket around Lily and whispered, You're safe now, little one. And she was. They all were. Not because the pain hadn't happened, but because they had faced it, named it, and let love grow in its place. That night the house slept peacefully. No nightmares, no locked doors, no whispers in the dark. Just breath, just warmth, just the quiet miracle of healing. As the author, I see the ending of this story not just as a resolution, but as a quiet triumph of love, truth, and resilience. This wasn't a fairy tale where pain never existed. It was a story where pain was faced head-on, where a child's voice was finally heard, and where healing became possible because someone chose to listen, believe, and act. Jason's transformation from a grieving, distracted father to a fiercely protective one is a powerful reminder that even the most successful, intelligent people can be blindsided. But what defines them is how they respond when the truth breaks through. Emma's role is just as meaningful. She didn't sweep in to save them in the classic sense. She met their brokenness with compassion, patience, and quiet strength. She represented the idea that kindness, when consistent and courageous, can be more powerful than any weapon. Lily, of course, is the true heart of this story. Her courage to speak, even in a whisper, set everything in motion. Her journey from fear to safety is what makes the ending so satisfying. Not because everything is perfect, but because it's real. They're a family now, not built on illusion, but on truth. And that makes the future bright. To me, this ending doesn't shout. It exhales, it rests. It offers a soft, earned peace that came not from escaping pain, but walking through it together. And I think that's the most beautiful kind of ending there is.